You know what? I'm loving so many people are here this morning.
Yeah.
Love that.
Because some conversations I have with people and they're like, oh,
You know
really?
what?
That
I'm
really
loving
happened
so
to you? And I'm like, what bubble are you living in?
It actually doesn't have a positive effect on the body.
They know that they don't know and still won't go out and find the information.
Please subscribe to the Dr. Vibe Show on YouTube and hit the notification button. I believe I checked the other day. I finally hit 1,660 subscribers. Thank you. Appreciate it. So you know what I'm going to do? 1,670 is next. We go just in increments of 10. Increments of 10. So very happy about that. And share it out. Tell people about the conversation. Then you want to do, also you want to like the Dr. Vibe Show on Facebook, LinkedIn, and Instagram. Please do that if you're up to it. Actually, it was funny. We'll stick on that for a second. A long time, a friend of mine called me yesterday, and he was, I can't use the expletive here. I don't use those words. And he said, I go, what's up? And he says, on his Instagram feed, the new president and new vice president of America were he was added as one of their followers. And he was upset. He goes, well, how did they do that? And I said, well, we're getting back to the U.S. You know, the relationship now that 47 has with the tech world. So they added him as a follower to the current president and the current vice president's timeline. Hey, good morning, Dr. Tachi. How are you? Dr. Tachi, the power behind Indie Soup Media. We'll talk about that in just a moment. Okay, so let's go. Join the Morning Vibe Discord group. So please email me at dr.vibe at the vibe.show.com. Always, if you want to advertise your business, product, or service on any of the platforms that I'm a part of, please email me at dr.vibe at the vibe.show.com. And then finally, Dr. Tachi's Tommy was immaculate. Indie Soup TV, Indie Soup Media, Indie Soup TV, independent content creators platform. Approximately 30 independent content creators powered by, you just saw her name on the screen, Dr. Tachi. And over, I don't know if she's hit 23,000 subscribers yet, but over 22,000 subscribers and about coming to the 9-month anniversary, I think, tomorrow. So check out a lot of the content that I part of, by the way, on that channel. All right, that is it. So we have something coming up. And speaking of, many of us who are watching this live or even on replay, we're in cold weather season right now. And what do you think if you had the opportunity? Excuse me, let me just take a glass of water. Could be a challenging call. Okay, we'll push through today. What do you think if you could get incredible information about international investment and creating wealth internationally in a warm country like Jamaica? What do you think of that? Actually, my parents are in Jamaica right now, by the way, so I'm a little bit jealous, but what do you think if you could do that? So here's a little teaser. Here we go. So there's the teaser. Now, that was the appetizer. You saw the nice food there. Now we're bringing up the main course. I saw our new friend is laughing at me, with me, not at me. We have Yanique Russell and a longtime friend, Ray McMillan, with us this morning. And Yanique is the driving force behind the Passport to Wealth workshop happening in Kingston and Montego Bay on March 14th and 15th, 2025. And one of the people who's going to be sharing his incredible knowledge is Ray McMillan, who has not been with us for a long time. And I usually like to go ladies first, but just this time, one of the few times, Ray, I want to congratulate you and your son for 25 years of providing great service, help, and assistance to many people around the world.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. Good morning to you, everybody. How are you doing?
We're doing fine. Yanique, you don't mind me giving Ray his flowers and his son his flowers before you this time?
Absolutely not.
Okay. So before we go any further about the Passport to Wealth workshop, first time you've been on our platform, can you share a little bit about yourself with our family?
Thank you so much for the invitation, first and foremost. And I must say, a very good morning to all your viewers. I'm Yanique Russell. I'm a lawyer. I'm actually in Toronto, Canada, and I practice Canadian immigration law, wills and estates, and business law. And our aim here at the law firm is to ensure that we are equipping our clients with all the tools they need to not just create wealth, but to preserve wealth and have that passed down to their dependents. We're happy to do the work that we're doing in this space, and we just want to say thanks for the invitation to share.
And Mr. McMillan, I know a lot of people do know, but there's some new people on here. Could you just share a little bit about yourself?
Certainly. I have been in the investment and real estate space since 1994. It just sounds so weird saying that because that's like a long, long time ago. Started out as a high net worth financial advisor, then shifted into mortgage and real estate in 99 when I opened my own office in Mississauga, which is still there. My eldest son, Stephen, now works out of that office. 2018, I had a bit of a health scare and made some changes in my life. I transferred the business to my son and started to figure out a few other alternatives to my life. I mean, I was in my 50s and, I was trying to figure out, okay, what's my next move? Started going back to the Caribbean, Grenada, Guyana, and then into Florida, and then started investing in real estate in Florida in 2020, during COVID. I can't remember the exact year, but it was during the pandemic. I was the only person on a plane flying into the US many times when I was coming across from Toronto, from Canada to the US. And I started going into Guyana also. Met Yanique about a year and a half ago. I don't like using the word coincidence. I think it's divine. I was scrolling to YouTube and I saw this Black female attorney on a podcast, and I have a very short attention span, usually about 30 seconds. I watched the entire conversation. I think it was about 4 minutes long. It was herself being interviewed by one of the folks from I think the funeral home in Toronto, it's Black-owned. I can't remember the name of the young lady who was in the interview. But she was speaking about estate planning for folks who have multi-jurisdictional real estate holdings. And as somebody who does a lot of stuff in different places, I was captivated by the breadth of her knowledge and her delivery. So being myself, I sent her an email, she responded. I met her and her husband. We had a great conversation about 3 or 4 hours. They were both hungry during that conversation, if I remember correctly. It's like Dr. Vibe, there's just much in common. I was thrilled with her journey and, her level of education, intelligence, and insight, along with her husband. And here we are today. We've done a few conferences together. We communicate frequently, share a lot of ideas. And I was telling her for the last year, you got to come on the Dr. Vibe show, man. You got to come and share some of this stuff. So here she is, Yanique Russell, my dear friend.
Wow. Ms. Russell, that's quite the intro, eh?
I know. Thank you.
Well, big up, yo. Hey!
And I don't do that very often to a lot of people. So, when I do it, it's rare.
That's true. All right. We have some comments flying here already. People are just, wow. Okay. So, Fitness IQ Cam goes, ooh, I think she may want to know, make me a visit to you. Fitness IQ Cam says to Ray, welcome back. Dr. Tachi, who's in Florida, Fort Lauderdale, says good morning, Ray and Yanique. The food plane, what is up? One of Dr. Tachi's family is here. Says hi, Dr. Vibes. Good stuff. Food plane says hello back to Dr. Tachi. And I'll scroll down to Yanique. Says Food Plate says Yanique, a beautiful name. Woo! Okay. The love is going serious. All right. So let's start. For Yanique, what inspired the creation of the Passport to Wealth workshop, and what makes it unique compared to other real estate or business seminars?
Excellent question. I think Canada as a country has been, very welcoming, very open to persons who are looking to start a new life here. But many persons consider just family immigration, family-based immigration. And as a matter of fact, when they do migrate, yes, they had goals prior to coming into the country, but for some reason, they tend to forget it. And it was that premise that made us start to revisit the topic of, okay, what was the main aim behind you making that move? And many people would share that, okay, we were looking for a better life, and of course, better life encompasses a number of things, but the main underlying concept was wealth. They were looking to accumulate wealth for several reasons. And so within our practice here at the law firm, we ensure that we're not simply taking people into Canada, we're setting them up for success by ensuring that their settlement is done seamlessly. And that can only be done through a community. So Ray is a part of my community. People who are landing, they don't have to go searching for a mortgage broker because I'm going to connect them with Ray. They don't have to search for an insurance broker, for a financial planner, you name it. And that really is the difference and the make or break between someone who is trying to figure things out on their own and an individual who has a network. So this event really is that opportunity for those who are not yet in Canada or North America for that matter, but wish to make the move and may not want to have to trek on their own, figure things out and wait. They can start the business from their home countries. They can purchase the real estate from their home countries and then leverage that foreign asset procurement to obtain permanent residency. Hence the name Passport to Wealth.
Okay. Ray, you have been involved in this space for a while. What was the impetus for you to say, I want to create wealth internationally?
Leveraging opportunity in my citizenship. I consider myself a global citizen. For you who know me very well, I was born in the UK, lived in the Caribbean, in Guyana as a younger person, spent time in St. Lucia. My father's Grenadian. I spent time in Grenada. I had a Barbadian business partner, spent a lot of time in Barbados. My mother worked in Jamaica for several years, spent a lot of time in Jamaica. So I don't see any one place as home. And then I left with the most important part. I raised my family in Canada, in Toronto. My 3 kids are all Canadian. No, I'm in Florida, Jacksonville, Florida. So I've always been nomadic. Probably a trait I got from my mother. My mother has worked in several countries throughout her career, her professional career. So I don't got attached to country and flag. I refer to myself as a black man living in Toronto all my life. I never identified as Canadian. And I've always seen the opportunity when I traveled of the conquistador mentality of white people, mostly Europeans. Living in St. Lucia, I've seen them land in the island, and within 2 or 3 years, they own a nice home, have a good business, and doing very, very well. I never saw the same in black folks. I mean, even within the Caribbean, black Caribbean folks don't travel much within the Caribbean. You know, if you're from Trinidad, you stay in Trinidad. You go to Miami, to New York, and that's it. You don't go to Barbados or Jamaica or to Guyana. No, it's a little more common now that they travel in intra-Caribbean. But you go back 20 years, it didn't happen. Same with black folks in Canada. If you were from Toronto, you're not going to go to Alberta and try to invest in real estate. So I was fortunate to be around a lot of people who had a different perspective. You know, I always say my clients were some of my best mentors. And I remember I had a client back in the early 2000s, a Jamaican school teacher. I'm not sure if his daughter's looking on the show today. Probably around 2001. Guy by the name of Sydney, I can't remember his last name right now. He actually moved back to Jamaica and started a real estate firm. And his wife, who was a teacher also, was investing in Alberta in real estate, mix of commercial and residential. And they did it effortlessly and seamlessly. And they were successful. And their two young daughters who were in Toronto were also invested in real estate. So I was fortunate to be around people who didn't have limiting ideologies. They took risk very, very differently from most Black and African people. So for me, it was easy, you know, when Yanique approached me and said she wanted to do this conference. We did a previous conversation a few months ago, which was well received and got a lot of questions. So when she approached me, it was a no-brainer. I've also had many wealthy Jamaican clients over the years who had moved to Toronto during the early 2000s and bought real estate and invested in real estate. Some of them have gone back, some have stayed. And now that I'm in Florida, which is where most people want to spend time, the Sunshine State, it's just an amazing partnership for us to go into the island, do the conferences, and educate people on what the opportunities are in the state. Because most people think of Florida as Miami, Orlando, and Tampa. But there are many other places in Florida beyond those three cities.
All right, good stuff. So I'm going to be asking questions, and both of you, if you want to provide your input, I would love it. I have another conversation piece. Why is foreign real estate investment becoming a critical strategy for wealth building in today's global economy?
I could jump on that one.
Well, ladies first. Outside of other than giving Ray his flowers over the 25 years, it's ladies first. Now it's back to you. It's your lap first.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
No problem. No problem.
So we already know, as far as it concerns foreign currency, right? There's the US dollar in the lead, and then the Canadian lagging behind. But if you're looking at the Jamaican dollar or, you know, other currency across the Caribbean, there's going to be a vast difference in terms of the strength of the currency. So it's a no-brainer as it relates to, okay, which of these currencies would be more, would take me to my goal quicker if I'm earning in that particular currency. And it just came down to that. In addition to the fact that the US dollar may be stronger in comparison to other currencies across the Caribbean, it's just a matter of globalization and having access to different jurisdictions and opportunities in those jurisdictions. We've heard the saying, never put all your eggs into one basket, right? So if you are depending on one market, for example, let's say you're an entrepreneur and all your sales are coming from your home country, it just takes one turn of, it just takes one unfortunate event for everything to go topsy-turvy. And if that individual had not made other investments, never had any other plans, then, all their work, all the savings, earnings, like that would be gone. And this is something that we try to encourage persons to explore the benefits of globalization, cross-border transactions, cross-border business ownership is now an opportunity for everyone to explore, right? Globalization has allowed us to attain certain goals quicker because the borders are somewhat being erased. You can, through business ownership, now become a US resident. you can, through business ownership, now become a Canadian resident. And we know those passports are way more powerful in comparison to the passports of some Caribbean countries. And this is really the reason why we're saying to people, listen, have a look at other jurisdictions, have a look at North America, and let me not leave out Guyana, because Guyana has experienced one of the fastest growing GDPs in 2024. I think maybe 40 to 50% growth year over year, and growing, right? So it's the benefit, just wrapping up, it's really the benefit. Having opportunities spread, so you're reducing risks, and coming down to the fact that you want to leverage and take advantage of globalization, really.
Ray, anything you want to add to that?
No, I mean, Yanique made a lot of very, very great points there. I mean, the one that I always add is that the world has shrunk. And what I mean by that, with access to the internet and information, you can sit in your living room in Mobay, or actually in the beach in Mobay, and manage a real estate portfolio in Ghana, Miami, Toronto, UK. You can search for opportunities without having to go there. And once you find the necessary partners in the local jurisdictions, it's very easy to validate the information that you're accessing. So I think it's a tremendous opportunity for those who have the means and who want to take the chance to do it. And we can't forget also there's many people in the Caribbean who are wealthy, who want their children to go to American universities to study. The opportunities that present themselves to their next generation is tremendous, whether you're going to university in Ontario or parts of the US. So having assets here makes that process a lot easier. Over the years, I've worked with many clients from parts of East Africa and West Africa who bought condos in Toronto so their children can have a safe and comfortable place to stay while they attended university. Just a couple years ago, we had a young Nigerian family whose parents were prepared to buy a home cash for them in Toronto. And we know what home prices are like in Toronto. So when you're buying property cash in Toronto, that person has significant wealth where they're from. So we can't ignore the fact that there's a lot of money in Jamaica. I mean, the country is 98% black, and most of the businesses are black owned. So that's a lot of black wealth. Something that is very uncommon in most of Canada. There's not a lot of black wealth in Canada. So if we, can educate them on the process of getting the Canadian passport, the US passport, etc., and the opportunities that come with those passports, I mean, the opportunity, the sky's the limit.
Nice. Just going to catch up on some comments here. Dr. Tachi says, there are no other cities in Florida except for Miami and Fort Lauderdale, Ray. And she lives in Florida.
Dr. Tachi knows that Jacksonville, Florida is the largest and most beautiful city in Florida. We are the first coast. This is where the Spaniards settled when they first landed here. His name was Cortez. Largest by area, largest by population. And we got these oldest churches in the state of Florida. And I think I'll give Dr. Tachi an open invitation to visit whenever she's prepared to come. I'll be her tour guide.
So, Yanique, we don't do beef on the platform. We're having some fun. But I would like the day for Dr. Tachi and Ray. Actually, I would love Ray to be on Dr. Tachi's program, Mediascope. That should happen. Well, let's keep on going. Frequency of Air Promotion says, good day, Dr. Vibe. Good to have you here. He also says, good day, Ray Real Estate McMillan. Frequency of Air Promotion says, hi, Yanique. Happy New Year. I see you working really hard. Please keep up the great brand work. Good morning to Opal Inspired. Says, good morning, everybody. Good to have her. Follow her and her artistic creations at YouTube. Dr. Tachi says, hello, Opal Inspired. Dr. Tachi says, hello to Fitness IQ Cam. And see, the gauntlet is down. Dr. Tachi has said, Ray, I'll take you up on that. All right. All right. Dr. Todd says hello to Frequency Event Promotions also. And someone I think Ray may know, Stefan McMillan, says, don't get him started, Dr. Tachi. Good morning, Dr.
My son knows me very well, man. I don't back down from a fight.
No,
I go
you
straight
don't.
to war with you, man.
No, you don't. Look,
All in good jest, bro. All in good jest.
Absolutely. And Dr. Tachi says, Dr. Tachi, good day to Frequency Event Process says good day to Dr. Tachi. Next conversation piece. And I think Yanique, you may have opened the door a little bit on this, but what are some of the key benefits in investing internationally compared to domestically? Either one of you.
Yeah, so as
ladies first, man.
Ray
Ladies
said,
first. Go ahead.
Yeah, so as we touched on earlier, the event is dubbed Passport to Wealth for one critical benefit. It's really the opportunity to gain residency through the foreign investment opportunities we'll be sharing with the attendees. If you are the holder of a Canadian passport, for example, that gets you into 185 countries, visa free. Yes.
Oh, no, Yanique, say that again. That is huge what you just said right there. Repeat that, please.
Yeah. Yeah, the Canadian passport gets you into 185 countries visa free, right? Or visa upon arrival. So if you're a travel fanatic, or if you're looking to invest in Europe or any other country, right? Because we're all about wealth creation opportunities here, then the Canadian passport is truly one that you want to have in your back pocket, right? The US passport is another powerful passport. It has slipped a few notches down the rank, but it still gets you into 179 countries visa free, right? So that is truly one of the main benefits and the one that we're pushing. As Ray mentioned, there are several, universities that are world renowned in North America, US and Canada, that many parents across the Caribbean and Africa would like their children to have access to. And of course, if they are Canadian and US passport holders, then they would be able to sponsor their dependents or to add their dependents to that application. So they would be able to access furthering their education at domestic rates. Truly, those are the major benefits to exploring foreign investment in these countries.
Ray, you want to add to that?
Yeah, I'll add one thing to that. Both US and Canadian passport allow those passport holders to spend up to 6 months in either country. So if you're a Canadian passport holder, you can spend up to 6 months in the US and vice versa. So it allows you to really explore opportunities without many constraints. You're not coming in on a 2-week visa or a 1-month visa with a limitation. So these are very vast countries, right? There's a lot more cities in the US than there are in Canada. In Canada, everything is about 160 kilometers from the US border. So, it's easier to move around the Canadian landscape once you're in Ontario. And then if you go to Quebec, you've got 2 cities out there, and then Midwest of the country, and then the West Coast. America is very different. You've got 50 states on the continuous continent. You've got, hundreds of cities. Just here in Florida, you've got about 10 very large cities with populations of more than 250,000 people. So to be able to spend time in the US as a Canadian citizen will allow you to properly, explore the opportunities from one city to the next, because each American city, I always tell people, is very, very different. They're not a monolith. If you're in Antioch, Tennessee, and you're in New York or Seattle, or you're in parts of state of Kentucky or parts of Georgia, they're very different places. Even in Florida, right? Miami is not Jacksonville. Tampa is not Orlando. St. Pete's is not Panama City. So everybody has their own flavor when it comes to where they want to live. You know, the kind of temperatures they want to deal with, you know, whether they want to deal with 4 seasons or they want to deal with 11 months of summer, right? So, I mean, coming into Canada as a Canadian, will give you the opportunity now to explore the American market. And then you cannot ignore the fact that the American market in almost every single arena is about 100 times larger than the Canadian market, right? The population is 10 times larger, but the opportunities are 100-fold. You know, so just wanted to add that to the conversation.
No problem. So just to do a reset here, we're speaking with Yanique Russell and Ray McMillan about the Passport to Wealth workshop that's happening in Kingston and on Montego Bay, Jamaica on March 14th and 15th. I've put in the comments section on most of the platforms you're watching this live in the replay, the link where you can find out more information. In fact, I'll just do that right now for people so you can screenshot it, or if you're watching on any of the platforms that I host, it's already in your comments section. And also in the comments section is Yanique's contact information. I'll put up on screen, and also Ray's contact information. So we're covering it all this morning. For both of you, as we continue on with our chat this morning, and I know you're going to get more into it during the workshop, but high level, what are the biggest challenges people face when starting or owning a business in a foreign country?
I believe the biggest challenge is not knowing, you know, and the thing is, so many of us are blind to the fact that they don't know what they don't know, right? And they oftentimes believe, okay, I am simply going to follow a friend or a family member and replicate what I saw them do, without considering the structuring of the business, without considering what business type structure is more suitable for the type of operation they wish to run in these countries. So I believe lack of information and lack of access to licensed professionals who can not just do the work for them, but also guide them if they prefer. And I always tell persons, if you're looking to explore wealth creation through asset ownership, then you have to have a financial planner, you must have a lawyer, and you must have an accountant on your team. 3 necessary licensed professionals, because you need to understand the regulations, the rules, the policies of the area that you wish to carry out, operate that business in. You need to understand how to be tax efficient, right? And you also need to create that holistic financial plan to ensure business longevity. Yes, that's one, but also business succession. Too often the businesses are dying with us in the Black community. The person dies, the business dies. So they have a shop or, you know, whatever other things set up, and everything goes with them. The intellectual property goes with them, the know-how, the standard operating procedures. Nothing is documented, nothing is systemized, and nothing gets passed down. So each time you're building from scratch, you're wasting not just resources, time, you know, just everything to go again. Resources if you're operating without the requisite information and without the right team behind you.
Okay, good stuff. Ray, anything you want to add to that?
Great point, Sandy. Yeah, I mean, I think also what's important is to deal with people who actually put their foot in the mud in those environments. I came into Florida, Jacksonville, in 2018. And if you speak to people who haven't been in those environments, they have a different perspective of what those environments are like. So when I got to, if you talk about investing in Florida, the first thing they talk about is buying condominiums. That's the usual trend. I buy a condo in Tampa, I buy a condo in St. Pete, I buy a condo in Orlando. When I got to Jacksonville, I saw there were tremendous other types of opportunities outside the condo investing space. Single family homes, land development, all sorts. So I've got the first-hand experience of being here myself and actually meeting people locally within the environment here in Jacksonville and other cities in Florida who are actually doing it. So, it changes the way, it shortens your journey and removes the mistakes, right? So, and a lot of times people I've got a colleague who bought a property in Florida a few years ago, and without any real consultation, they went and they bought a property from a builder. When I saw where the property was located, I was astonished because I didn't see the value or the future potential owning that piece of real estate. I used 4 words to define real estate investing, right? The what, the where, the why, and the when, right? What you plan to buy, where you plan to buy it, why you plan to buy it, and when you plan to buy it. The when can be any time. The why is very important, right? So you, as Yanique said, you can't go on somebody else's journey. This is your journey. So sit with a team who understands what they're doing. Map out your plan, your journey, and see how fast you can get there with the least possible mistakes, and then earn the income as you go ahead. What I do is not for me. It's for the next generation. I always said when you start a business, do it for 2 reasons: either to sell it in the future or to transfer it to the next generation. I have done the transfer into the next generation in my case. What I plan to do, the next part of my journey, is to create more stuff to transfer to the next generation, but also create assets that I can also sell to make the best years of my life very, very comfortable. Right? And that is the focus of the conference. I have done it. I am not talking about what I saw somebody else do. I got tired of the winters. I bought a convertible with summer tires and rear wheel drives a few years ago, and I wanted to drive it all year around. I didn't want to drive it 2 months of the year. So I made the transition into Florida. It was a lifestyle change for me. And I love the winter. I still have my sheepskin coats and all my leathers, my gloves and stuff, but I don't plan to wear them unless I have to.
All right. Oh, that mic drop. All right. So Perry Douglas says, from a financial perspective, the risk of making a foreign investment is the currency risk. The U.S. and Canada, I guess U.S. and Canada can be volatile at times, as we're experiencing right now. As we know, the Jamaican dollar, oh well. When you're looking to convert back to Canadian dollars, can be a shocking experience. So make sure you understand how currency works before you invest.
And that's a very, very valid point, Perry. I mean, Perry is, a good friend of mine. He always goes with the numbers, and that's also one of the benefits as somebody in the Caribbean looking to invest outside. I mean, both Jamaica and Guyana, those who I consider myself the Guyanese, have very, very volatile currencies when you tie it to the American dollar. I mean, the exchange rate for one Jamaican dollar, I think, is 120 to $1 US. For the Guyanese, it's 210 to $1 US. I mean, they've been pretty stable over the last year around those exchange points. But then in both of those environments, the inflation is extremely high. So for people who I spend a lot of time in Guyana. I'm actually going there in a couple of days. Everything in the Caribbean is priced exactly the same way it's priced in the supermarket here in North America.
Yep.
And the prices increase. Every time you go out to the supermarket, prices go up. You go for a box of oranges, the price changes every single visit to the supermarket. But most people's incomes aren't changing commensurately. And as Yanique mentioned earlier, those are much smaller markets. Jamaica is about 2.8 million people. Guyana is less than 1 million people. So your base for expanding your business is very, very small. Between the US and Canada, you've got almost 500 million people, right? You cannot nor that fact. So that's the opportunity to scale and pivot and move is much more available here than anywhere in the Caribbean.
What I'll also add to that, Ray, great points, is options, right? Option is a beautiful thing. And I do take Perry's point, very valid point, actually. But the reason why this event, these workshops are dubbed Passport to Wealth is one of the greatest benefits that we're sharing with these attendees is the opportunity to hold one of these passports, right? Having the US or the Canadian passport and then leveraging everything that comes with that.
Okay. And we've got Samanda here saying good morning all. So good to have you here this morning. This time is flying, so we better talk a little bit more about the conference unless you got both you can give a little bit of your time. But anyone who has any questions about the conference or investment internationally, now is your time. Certainly you can contact them offline, but you have them in one place right now. Once they leave, they're serving many people. So now would be the best time. Question about the conference. Who is a workshop designed for and what type of participants will benefit the most?
It is designed for the licensed professional who is looking for another immigration pathway or another opportunity. It's also designed for an entrepreneur, someone who already has businesses and they are looking to expand into larger markets. Of course, they will always get the benefits associated with foreign asset procurement, right? But I believe those two groups would benefit the most from attending these workshops.
Okay. And can you tell us more about the industry experts who'll be leading the sessions? What unique insights or strategies are they going to be sharing?
Yeah, great question. So remember those three professionals I touched on earlier that you need them in your back pocket? We're going to be having those individuals. So there will be lawyers to tell you all about the policies, regulations, and how foreign asset ownership can really translate to for permanent residency in these jurisdictions. So that's one. We're also going to be having real estate investors. So Ray touched on a valid point. We're not taking speakers who are simply speaking in silo. These are individuals who would have already taken the journey that you intend to take. They know all the pitfalls, know what mistakes you should avoid, and as such, they're the best individuals to not just inform you, but to hold your hand. It's a workshop because you're going to have a step-by-step process documented for you. And here's the thing, Dr. Vibe, success leaves clues.
Yes.
Success leaves clues, right? So we have lawyers, accountants, real estate investors, and a business broker who will be there, yes, to tell you all about businesses that are available for sale in Canada and US. Yes.
Okay. So how does the workshop address the complexities of international tax laws, financing, and regulations?
Great point. So these professionals will be speaking specifically about the interplay between Jamaican, US, Canadian tax laws, immigration laws, you name it, all the policies at play, right? And this is exactly why we believe the room itself, not just the information that will be there, but the networking opportunity that is going to be created. The room itself is going to be so charged. I think those 2 days, you're going to be equipped to take that step that you've dreamt of, that you've been contemplating. It's your jump start to wealth creation.
Nice. Beyond financial strategies, what personal growth or mindset shifts are you looking for the participants to experience from your workshop?
Great question. One of the real estate investors, the UK real estate investor, is also a mindset coach. And without going too much into it, Mrs. Kadisha Tate is someone who has climbed the ranks from bankruptcy to now having a multi-million pound real estate portfolio, right? There is no one better to speak to you about the mindset that is going to be necessary to take this journey. But just to skim a little bit on the surface of what type of mindset is going to be required, we're asking persons to come with an open mindset, that's one, and two, to come with a mindset where they will appreciate that anything is possible with the right team, with dedication, and with persistence. That's all we're asking you to take. You'll be equipped with all the notepads, with all your writing tools. Everything is going to be prepared for you. But come with a mindset that is open and one that is prepared to start the journey to success.
Wow. Fire. Fire. Let me ask.
It's going to be a great conference, Dr. Val. We expect the speakers to share their journey with a high level of transparency. All the speakers will be folks who have migrated, or most of these folks who have migrated from other parts of the world. So there's always a story behind it. Like I am so excited to share my journey as an immigrant back in the 80s to Canada, the successes, the failures, and how easy it was to get some things done once you knew where to go. The challenges, a lot of folks don't know where to go or who to go to. So they spend a lot of time spinning their wheels and not moving and missing the opportunity. You've got to know who to speak to. You've got to also be able to discern information that you're getting, and do the fact check and go to the sources. So I think it's going to be an amazing conference, and I'm looking forward to the small group participation, and just being able to kind of share not only the success, but all the multiple failures I have had, trying to navigate life in North America. It is very different from life in the Caribbean. And, I'm assuming that a lot of the participants would probably be in their mid-30s or older, and migrating to the US or Canada in your 30s or 40s, particularly after you've had success in the Caribbean. While it's easy financially, it's a very difficult mindset shift because you're giving up a lot of your resources and your personal connections to make this transition into a totally new environment. So you really need a very, very solid team to guide you so you don't regret that process.
Nice. I know time is running thin, and I know both you are on the clock, but I also want to ask, what are some common misconceptions people have about foreign real estate or business ownership, and how is the workshop going to address them?
I believe one of the most common misconceptions is that I'm a non-resident. I cannot own a business. I don't live in these countries. I don't own the passports. I can't operate a business here. It's the furthest thing from the truth, right? There is no residency requirement to own a corporation in Ontario, right? And that is the same across several states in the US. Yes, you can own a business as a non-resident. Another misconception that I have encountered, just interacting with individuals who are inquisitive about the opportunities available here is the fact that, oh, the minute I'm looking into owning property, owning real estate, then I have to be living in the property, I'm so restricted in terms of what opportunities there are available for me to explore. And I know Ray will be delving further into the opportunities, how you can make that particular asset work for you, and so will Kedisha. But I believe whatever misconceptions there are, the workshop is indeed the place for you to be, to have those clarified and to finally be able to appreciate what the truth is and what the facts are.
I want to ask Yanique, how long were you thinking about doing this?
I don't think I thought of it very long. My first conference was in Montego Bay, Jamaica in August 2022. August 2022. Yes, and that one was dubbed Study, Live and Work in Canada. You see, Dr. Vibe, I'm coming from 7 years in the tourism industry where
okay, there's your secret sauce.
my marketing,
Okay.
the trade shows, all of that, I'm used to it. The traveling to train, to educate people, I'm used to it. So when I became licensed as a lawyer here in Canada in 2021, it was very easy for me to think, what is the best way to get information across to individuals, and of course it's going to be a workshop and expo. As it relates though to this particular type of expo, it is something I've become a little bit obsessed with based on my interaction with my estate clients. Yes, I'm obsessed with it. Estate planning is seen as too taboo. You mention get a will, and people freak out. Oh my God, I'm going to pass. And I thought, how do I reframe the conversation around estate planning? And it was wealth creation. That was the answer. And now I try my best to have the conversations. Okay, here is where estate planning will help you. You want to start owning income generating assets, and you really want to own those assets in larger markets. Of course, if you have businesses, if you have property in larger markets, the opportunities are greater for you. And the conversation surrounding that initially began within my immediate network here on the ground. But because, again, so many of them are immigrants, I thought, let me show not just newcomers, but those who intend to own these passports, intend to become residents, how they can really start planting the seeds, really start owning a little piece of asset here. So that really was how the idea became. Of course, Ray being my mentor, I reached out to him and I said, what do you think of this? And he loved it. The rest was history.
So how long from the time you thought about it did you start moving into action mode?
Immediately.
I knew that.
Success loves the swift. I don't sit and deliberate and ponder. My husband will tell you, Ray will tell you too. An idea comes to me, I'm going to bounce it and I'm going to move.
Got it.
Yeah, and that's what made it easy for me to collaborate with Yanique. I've worked with many lawyers over the years. I've got many lawyers in my family, but they're lawyers and they're very lawyerly. Yanique is an entrepreneur who happens to be a lawyer. There's a huge difference.
Yes.
Not a lawyer who's trying to be an entrepreneur. And if more Black lawyers thought of themselves as entrepreneurs. Because the amount of wealth you have, the amount of knowledge you have as an attorney, and the case studies you've seen, and the rooms that you get into, if you stop being lawyerly and start being more entrepreneurial, our success as Black folks is unlimited. So it's just, I'm excited to be in Jamaica. I mean, the fact that I've been in Mobile for a couple of days, enjoying some good escovitch fish and stuff by the beach, is an added bonus. And I get a chance to roll through Kingston, one of my favorite cities in the Caribbean. But just being there with the audience and sharing them, the opportunity that exists in these large markets. I mean, as you know, I own assets here in Florida. And I can tell you that my income on our investment portfolio has increased by about 35%.
Whoa.
Between the end of COVID and today, right? So the more assets you acquire, income generating real estate assets, nobody gets a 35% pay increase. What's the average? Between 4 or 5% per year. So
If that.
I've gotten on average probably at 15%, 12% pay increase on my assets just in 2.5 years, right? So sharing that with the audience and sharing the ease of entry into acquiring those assets, because as Yanique mentioned earlier, a lot of people are under the illusion that if you're a foreign resident, you can't buy Canadian and US assets is so far from the truth. Once you deal with the CRA and the IRS and report your incomes, that's all these governments care about.
Okay. Perry Douglas says, estate planning is key. It's like working backwards for clarity on how wealth is created.
That's so true, man.
Absolutely.
Very, very true. Well, I don't want to take up any more of your time because I know that both of you, again, are on the clock. Any final words for either one of you, from either one of you?
Just want to say thank you, Ray. Thank you to all the speakers. And by the way, we are revealing our speakers weekly on our social media pages. Please follow us. And we know that these events, the individuals who attend will be making quantum leaps. If they put into action what they have learned at the workshops, even just by being in the room, I believe the opportunities available through networking, it's just, you can't really put a price on it, the value that's available. So we want to invite persons to go ahead, get their tickets on the website. The links have been shared. It is $289. That's the early bird price. That ends January 31. Come February 1, it will be $389. It will go up. You do not want to miss this opportunity. Lawyers, accountants, real estate investors, business brokers, all in one room, helping you to jumpstart your wealth creation journey through foreign asset ownership.
Love it. Oh, I do have one more last conversation piece. How do both of you see the future of foreign real estate and international business ownership evolving? Are there any trends or emerging market participants and things that we should be looking out for other than coming to your conference on top of that?
Well, a trend I have been seeing and I'm keeping my eye on is foreign asset procurement, but more so real estate investment in Africa. So yeah, I'm seeing the movement to Ghana, East Africa, but also West Africa rather, but also in East, like in Rwanda, right? So that's a trend to keep your eye on. Yes. That's a trend to look out for.
Yeah, I mean, Yanique sent me a text that someone got a few days ago about the Ghanaian opportunity. I had actually mentioned I've got two very close friends, but one very close friend and a colleague who actually are investing in Ghanaian real estate. One of the gentlemen actually bought an island, well, actually 3 islands.
What?
Guyanese. Yeah, and he actually had a segment on HGTV. It's mind-boggling. I mean, listen, man, Google is your friend, right? If we got to get out, I'm glad they banned TikTok because we can now actually spend more time actually doing real research, you know. But Google is your friend. The information at your fingertips. As I said earlier, the world has shrunk. I went to university in the early 80s, and I had to spend hours in the library pouring over books to get information. Now I can sit here and use Google, and in 2 seconds, I can get pretty accurate information at a click of a button or a swipe on my phone. So for those who are interested, who have a love for real estate, and let me rewind that statement. Everything in the world is based on real estate. There's this debate between stocks and real estate. It makes no sense. All the large companies in the world have real estate holdings. Yeah. Everything we do is tied to real estate, land or property. Whether you're farming, whether it's a rice farm or a poultry farm or a hospital, whatever you do, there is some form of real estate involved. So, and it's global. And they're not making any more new land.
There you go.
So, in some parts of the world, they're trying to reclaim land from the sea, right? They're building up because they can't go out. Toronto is one. If you go back to Toronto in the 90s, you drove along the Garden Expressway, and you drive along the Garden Expressway today.
Oh, gosh.
It's a very different skyline. And that's for every single city in the world. Every major city, the skyline has changed completely. Yeah. In many Florida cities, you can't go above 10 stories high, and they're constantly changing those bylaws to get those condos higher up in the air, right? So, do your research. There are many places in the world that offer tremendous opportunity, and we're all connected. My son was in the Philippines a couple of months ago, and he came back all excited. He said, man, the opportunities that invest in the Philippines is tremendous. And I told him, kiddo, go for it. A couple hours on a plane and a couple hours back, and you build your portfolio wherever in the world opportunity presents itself.
Absolutely. It's a separate conversation, but I've been doing some research on a company called BlackRock.
Mm-hmm.
And if you're watching the United States, you should pay attention what this company BlackRock is doing. They're a very big company. What are they doing? They're buying homes like crazy.
Yeah.
They're not buying stocks. They're buying homes.
Yeah, there are a lot of large companies invested in single-family homes as part of the portfolio across the U.S. There's one pretty large company here in Jacksonville, and I basically mirror their moves. That's how I found success. When I got here, I basically researched who are the largest real estate holders in Jacksonville. And I went to their website. I followed their social media page. And when they move, I move. It's that simple. That's a beat right there, right? When you move, I move. Is that like a hip hop song or something?
well, as Yanique said, success leaves clues.
Oh, yeah.
Right? Success leaves. So you're following this organization, they're leaving clues. And Perry says BlackRock is a vampire. They are a vampire. They are buying homes like crazy in the United States. So it is crazy. But you know what? Gonna let both of you go. First of all, thank you for giving us the most important thing in your lives, your time, to both of us. Very excited about this opportunity because both of you are not only changing your own lives, but more importantly, you're changing other people's lives and generations to come. So
thank you very much, Dr. Guy. We appreciate it.
Well, thank you for
the participation. Thanks for the questions. Thanks for the comments. We certainly do appreciate it.
Well, finally,
Yanique on the show. We got to bring her back. You got to bring her back every night.
Don't worry. That's already done.
Every few months and share that knowledge, man. She's got a lot of insights. She's
look,
very, very
as I said, She only lives 15 minutes drive. Her office, so we already, before you came on, that's already done. That's already done. You know, I'm going to be there within the next week or two, because I'm just saying, I'm just going to be there with my notepad. It's like, you know, like I'm gonna like teacher and student. Maybe we'll do a video of her just sharing, I'm just taking notes. Just taking notes. You know, Professor Yanique in session.
Oh boy. Thank you both.
Thank you.
Thank you for the invitation, you know,
Anytime.
and thank you for, you know, the comments coming through from your viewers. Really appreciate it.
Well, we appreciate both of you. And Ray, thank you for finally being persistent and consistent for a year to finally get this, because we're not going to let her go now. So to both you and your families, don't just manage your time, manage your energy. Remember to give yourself grace. And if you're not making money, make history. But both of you are doing both. Keep the faith.
Thank you very much.
Have a great day. All right, everybody. This was an epic conversation. This was fantastic. So there's the information. I put it on most of the platforms that you're watching live. And you know what I'm also going to do? I'm actually just going to put it up. If you click on that link, what you're going to see. So this is it. So all the details are here where you can get your tickets. Everything is here. Also, excuse me, the video I showed at the beginning of our conversation is all there. Love it, love it, love it, love it, love it. So, as we start exiting out for the weekend, what's everyone up to this weekend? And also, I didn't promote it today. I ran a poll on my YouTube channel on, are you interested in international investment? And everyone who answered said yes. So, my suggestion is, if you answered and you're serious, to get in contact with Yanique. Nothing wrong with doing that. There's her contact information again. 100%. There we go. That's it. So let's close it down for today. As always, if you want to get in touch with me, well, subscribe. Actually, subscribe to the Dr. Vibe Show. So hit the YouTube button and also subscribe to the show and tell people about it. Also, like the Dr. Vibe Show on Facebook, LinkedIn, and Instagram. Also, join the Morning Vibe Discord group. Email me, dr.vibe at the drvibeshow.com to advertise your business, product, or service on the platform. Please, again, email me, dr.vibe at the drvibeshow.com. You can get in touch with Ryan Knight. Go to his website, Ryan O'Neill Knight. That's Knight, KNIGHT.com. LinkedIn at Ryan O'Neill Knight. Also Instagram at ryan.knight99. And email address, workwithme at ryanO'NeillKnight.com. Me, website, the drvibeshow.com. YouTube, Facebook, and LinkedIn, The Dr. Vibe Show. Instagram at The Dr. Vibe Show. And X, I don't know how much longer. I keep on saying that. I'll maybe just stay there just to have a presence there, but I'm not responding there. Email address, dr.vibe at the drvibeshow.com. And you can also catch me on Blue Sky. Yes, I'm on Blue Sky at drvibe.bsky.social. So that is it. On Monday, Siobhan Chin, Flix FX. She's going to be talking about fireworks and drones. She's one of the few, let alone women, she's probably the only Black woman in Canada that's certified in her expertise when it comes to drones in Canada. And then next Friday, Mini on Cam. Again, tomorrow, if you're watching this on Friday, January 24th, 5 p.m. primetime Saturday with Aisha Lala, talking about the sense and nonsense going on in the United States. They're going to be spending all their conversation tomorrow talking about all the executive orders that 47 has put in place. Sunday afternoon, 5 p.m., Cesar Nadima Musa and myself, Black Canada Talking. 8 p.m., myself, Kofi Morris, and Paul Osborne, Black Men Can Talk. And then Monday, we're back with Siobhan Chin. I think we are done. So this is how we're getting it off. Live your life as a dream. If you can dream it, you can make it. Sometimes you have to get smaller to get stronger. Block assumptions and aim bigger, aim better, aim higher, aim wider. Love, faith, and respect. And always, don't just manage your time, manage your energy. And remember to give yourself grace. And again, if you're not making money, make history. God bless. Peace be well. Keep the faith and walk good.
This whole thing of using your business with plant-based products, don't you think your life should reflect that too?
Juke him, Carolyn. Juke him. The family loves us here because they're saying Fitness IQ Can says put a wig on to get in.
Oh my God.
Like the ideas are just coming fast and furious here this morning. What? Okay, look at this. Global Women Ambassador. Good morning. Look forward. Okay.